Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Dychronic, your host here on this Borderlands 3 video, and today we're going to be taking a look at a Moze build that I call the Napalm Boomer. It's all about explosions and incendiary and just shooting endlessly, and it's honestly a lot of fun. This is a build that I came up with to basically just be quirky and weird and fun. Lots of explosions, lots of fire damage, and sometimes even bottomless mags. There's a lot to love about this strategy, and honestly, I was using it in Mayhem 3 and doing very, very well. So this is something that actually is Mayhem 3 available, even though it was supposed to be a meme build at first. So the basic strategy and idea behind this build is explosions, fire, and more explosions. Throwing grenades for crit damage, Merv grenades for more stuff, incendiary damage bonuses and chances, bonuses to splash damage, and getting more from splash damage. There's a ton of really fun stuff in this build. If you like explosions, this is the Mad Bomber class. So let's go ahead and talk about the build that I call the Napalm Boomer. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk about the different skills and loadouts that I use for this particular build. And again, if you did not know, this is actually a website on the Borderlands.com website where you can actually make your own builds and then send those builds to other people via the link. And if you want a link to this exact build, you don't want to click through the video, in the description down below you can find a link to this exact build. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Starting up with the loadouts, not really that complicated. I like using the Vanquisher rocket pods. It basically shoots out a bunch of different rockets that hit the target, and I like having tracking module. It basically reloads faster. You just hold the triggers down and it figures out where the targets are and where to shoot them, and it's just a lot of fun to do, and it does a lot of damage. On top of the fact, I think they may be glitched because they do crit damage every once in a while that I think is connected to pull the holy pin that gives your grenades a crit hit chance. Now, here's the thing. It didn't work with the V35 grenade launcher, and it didn't work with the hammer down protocols. Tracking module Vanquisher rocket pods can crit, and I don't know why nothing else can. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk about the different perks inside the skill tree. First and foremost, there's a lot of different perks you can kind of move around. They're not really mission critical to any part of this build, but this is just the way that I've currently set it up. And I'll mention along the way which perks can actually be switched out for other perks. Well, let's go ahead and get started with the blue tree. Starting up here with the fire and the skag done, giving you more bonus incendiary damage anytime you're doing splash damage. And since you always want to be doing splash damage and incendiary damage, it works really, really well. Following that, I like 3 points into means of destruction, giving you a chance for ammo back and grenade back. It's really powerful, especially if you're chucking tons of Merv grenades. You're just going to have endless grenades no matter what you do. After that, 2 points in the Tor Cross promotion, giving you extra a chance of a double splash damage radius, which can help by giving you more splash damage to hit more people. And following that, auto bear is always nice to have in a Moze build. I oftentimes just go down here just for the auto bear, allowing him to function for 15 seconds after you've gotten out of him, as long as he's not dead. And then finally, on this row, we have Pull the Holy Pin, which is a very big perk, allowing your grenades to do critical hit damage. Very big, very important, very nice to have. Following that, I like to go into extra grenade capacity, especially if you're chucking nades like crazy, getting lots of Merv hits, getting extra grenade chances, getting extra crits. Following that, getting the ability to use grenades while you're down is really powerful, especially if you're going into a lot of the Merv and hitting everybody all at the same time and crits. And then on that same row, explosive punctuation, giving your action school cooldown rate a big bonus. And then finally, short fuse, allowing you to have a 20% chance of causing a secondary explosion on the target of an extra 75% gun damage, which is basically just like more damage with AoE. As far as the perks that can be moved around, honestly, I would say Tord class promotion can be moved into either Deadlines or Stainless Steel Bear, as well as the extra grenade capacity. You can move it into Vampire, or again, one of these two, Deadlines and Stainless Steel Bear. If you like using the Iron Bear more often, these perks are going to be more useful for you, and you can move that stuff around. But in my particular build, I don't really use the Iron Bear much. I mostly just kind of fire a few shots and let Auto Bear take care of it. Moving on to the green tree with some great ammo things, great incendiary things, fire rate stuff, as well as an Iron Bear thing at the very bottom. Lots of great stuff in this particular tree. Starting at the top with Cloud of Lead, giving every 4th shot basically is a free shot and giving you extra bonus incendiary damage. More incendiary damage is always really, really nice to have. Following that, redistribution, a very big and important part of this build. Basically, every time you're getting critic hits, you're regenerating ammo for a few seconds, which is very important, especially in conjunction with the other ammo perk, the Means of Destruction. You can kind of get bottomless mags if you're starting to hit tons and tons of crits, especially if you have lots of explosions and lots of splitting all over the place. You can get crits pretty frequently, and pretty frequently you have bottomless mags. It's pretty crazy. Following that, giving you more incendiary damage anytime you do incendiary damage. Very, very important thing to have in your build. Scorching RPMs, giving you more fire rate, more crit hit damage. This is a very, very powerful perk. And then lastly in this tree, Specialist Bear, giving your Iron Bear more damage if you're using two of these same weapon, which is exactly what we're doing. And then lastly, this last set of perks, first of all, 5 points in Selfless Vengeance, basically remove some health and doing some extra incendiary damage. And since we do more incendiary damage and incendiary damage is more effective, this is even more effective than before, and that gives it to you and your teammates. And then lastly, just a little bubble shield on the bear is nice to have. These points can honestly be moved around if you want. To again, one of these two things, Vampire, maybe more points into the green tree to get down to click click. Click click is always something that's nice to have. But honestly, I like having the extra incendiary damage and also buffing my team. It's just a nice perk to have, a bit of an underrated perk. As far as class mods go, I would honestly try to find a class mod that will give you more pull the holy pin, because more crit chance on the grenades is something that will help out your Iron Bear, and it will also help out all of your grenade spams and just kind of make you go off the chain. After that, having more fire in the Skag Den is nice to have, or for example, explosive punctuation is also nice to have. And then lastly, stoke the embers for more incendiary damage. Anytime you're doing incendiary damage is just really powerful. As far as artifacts go for splash damage, Meteor, Torg damage, any incendiary damage. These are all great things to have on an artifact. And lastly, let's go ahead and talk about strategy. You're going to want to have weapons that make big explosions, that have lots of fire damage, and you're going to want to have grenades that have a lot of explosions. Merv grenades usually work the best, or use singularity grenades that'll pull everybody into one spot, and you can use your Meteor or your Torg weapons to kind of blow everybody up all at the same time. As far as survivability goes, honestly, use your Iron Bear as a kind of like escape method. When you're low health, pop an Iron Bear, you have a bunch of new health to use, and then by the time you get out, you'll have your shields regenerated. And of course, remember, you can use grenades while you're down. Using grenades while you're down is something that's a lot more effective than people give it credit for. And as a very, very last note, if you get an incendiary flacker, like the gun is literally called a flacker, that is the best gun to use for this build, bar none. The flacker is insane, and with this build, it's even crazier than it is before. If you've never heard of a flacker, basically it shoots out like an explosion that goes around like 2 meters away from you, explodes into 3 more shots that also explode, and those explode into like 2 or 3 more shots. It basically flaks the area right in front of you, and if you can get that contained inside one target, like if you get the right distance, it'll all explode on one guy and just devastate their health, and it is so fun to use. But that's the end of the video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know if there's something I missed, or there's something wrong with the build, or if you have some recommendations or improvements, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to learn more and make this build the best that it can be. And of course, make your recommendations for some kooky and fun builds. I've got a cool idea with a Lyada and infinite ammo coming up very soon. But we will see how that works. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. My name's Dychronic, and I will see you guys on the next one.